Welcome to McGowan's Canvas Miracles. We're here for another exciting episode. I mean, it's one of those episodes where you'll be at the edge of your seat, falling off. You have time to go get a coffee. It's okay. Get ready to go. We have my friend, actually. She's you've painted before, and she's done great things. Natalie, Thibeau-Rector, big, long. That's like a fancy name.
Well, a fancy person.
Fancy person, fancy name. And she's here with about a committee, resiliency committee, was started after COVID, and we're going to talk about that and why it became necessary and how important it is to our city and the great work they do. And I'm driving in today, I seen some birds sitting on a wire, and I thought, you know what, we'll do some kind of modern birds on a wire, what we can do in a few minutes on a show and have some fun with it. So, this is my friend Natalie. So how are you?
I'm good, Rob, and I promise not to pick at you too much today.
No, not going to give me a hard time.
Well, I can't guarantee that.
Can't guarantee. Always the way it is. That's all right. I'm used to it these days. So, well, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Well,
Are you from Miramichi
I
originally?
am not from Miramichi.
Oh, well, what are you doing here then? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, funny story. I'm actually from Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, so
Okay.
8 hours from here.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah.
Close enough.
So
You're a Maritimer anyway.
I am a Maritimer. I've been here 20 years.
20 years? Well,
Yeah.
that counts.
Yeah.
It's been here
I'm
long.
almost Miramichier now. Almost. And we came to work with young people in the church many, many years ago.
Okay.
So things evolve, and now I work with the Resiliency Committee.
Yeah. So the Resiliency Committee, from my understanding, it all started after COVID. So give us a little history on resiliency and why it was formed. And
Okay, so we all know what happened during COVID. I mean, people didn't do well. We had isolation, we had a lot of anxiety going on. And when we went through the World Health Organization, we realized we really were not resilient. Not just New Brunswick, but Canada as a whole. So a couple of provinces, New Brunswick was actually the lead in this, started this resiliency movement. So if I start with it, we're part of Justice and Public Safety. And we're a branch called Community Capacity and Resilience, which sits right next to NBEMO, New Brunswick
Okay.
Emergency Measures Organization. And throughout the province, there are 12 regions. We follow the same regions as the Regional Service Commission.
okay.
So we are Region 5 here. There are 12 regions, meaning there are 12 regional resiliency coordinators, of which I am one. So we sit in Region 5. So the premise behind this whole organization was, how do we get our communities to become more resilient? And we talk, I mean, resilience, one of those catchphrases. Everybody talks about resiliency these days.
We're going to paint at the same time while we talk.
Oh,
I know,
okay.
it gets complicated.
It is, because I'm a hand talker, so.
So go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so how do we get our communities to become more resilient? And resilient really means bouncing back. So when we encounter tough times, hard times, how do we bounce back to the state of our norm? Okay, whatever that norm is, because there is no such thing as normal. Yeah, so in 2020, we started with this branch, Community Capacity and Resilience. I was not the original coordinator. Well, Charlene McLean started this here,
Okay.
and I was her co-chair and sat on the committee. And eventually, Charlene said, you know, I got too much on my plate. So I became the resiliency coordinator.
Oh, wow. So you're going to take a little brown and orange on your brush?
My big brush?
Yeah. Actually, you can just take this brush. I'm done anyway. That's all you're going to do is just add a little bit of brown and orange. Just something to, we're going to neutralize the canvas, it's called. You've heard me talk about this in class. And
Yep.
I'm just going to take a little brown, orange, and some water and make it really, really transparent and just sort of mold around. So, the first act of the Resiliency Committee when you were on it, what did you guys do? What was your very first thing that you looked at and said, oh, we really got to work on getting this into our city? Or
Well, that's interesting. And in essence, we didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay.
So we have 4 main priorities.
Yes.
Okay. So our priorities are addiction and mental health.
Okay.
They are transportation, food security, and housing. I organize a group of people who takes on these activities.
Okay.
Okay, so our 4 main priorities. We started a bus pass with Miramichi Transit.
Right.
And instead of $70 for the month for a bus pass, we were able to offer $10 bus passes for those in extreme need.
So you have somebody in charge of that section of it that works in your committee?
There was somebody who worked in the committee who took on that role. So that was actually Jason Babineau, the manager of the Miramichi Transit. So we have $50,000 each season, each contract year.
For the whole committee?
For the whole committee, which is not a lot of money, get it?
They're not sparing a lot to do this, are they?
No, but what it does is it spurs initiative.
Okay.
It gets things started. And the goal is not to fund things long term.
Right.
It's to get them started so that we can find other ways to accomplish.
And find out what's needed. Too,
exactly.
Right? Okay.
So they started out with 70 people and ended up with 85 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was very helpful. Housing. Well, we were able to supply funds to Miramichi Housing Solutions, and they have a program that is helping people not become homeless. So maybe they were in arrears, or maybe they needed a down payment, or maybe if they didn't pay their heating bill, they weren't going to be able to live there. So they were able to take funds and do that for people with some of the money that we provided.
Okay.
Okay? So food security. We have a mutual friend. So I don't know, do you know Marie-France Lozier? Well, she is from public health, but she's also with Roots to Table, which is a grassroots organization working on food security. And we partnered with them. And Albertine LeBlanc, who's our mutual friend, has a vehicle, and they were able to transport food down to Bay St. Anne, who had trouble getting into a food bank.
Okay.
So from there, they started doing a food rescue, which they supply food to Jeremy's Mission, they supply food to NBCC, to our international students, they supply food all over the city.
Wow.
Yeah. So they got like $8,000 from us to help fund the vehicle. That's it. Everything
they're
else
going out
comes
and
from them.
Okay, so your guys' role is to find out where the problems are, what solutions we're working on,
Right.
and get something started and the people.
So
in
as far as
position.
addiction and mental health goes, we've been able to offer Safe Talk, which is suicide alertness for everyone, absolutely free of charge to over 300 people.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
with money from resiliency.
that's pretty neat.
So these committees have now picked up, I'll say, the slack, and are doing it on their own now. So something different this year, which is absolutely different, is instead of having the 50,000, which we do have the 50,000, but we took 37.5, which is a big chunk of our money, and have started advertising for a grant writer so that more organizations can get funds in order
Yeah,
to run
'cause
these programs.
Getting grants isn't an easy process.
It is not
And you
an
gotta have
easy
people who
process.
write the right words and
That's
stuff.
right. So that's what we're in the process of doing now.
So I've been to some of these meetings through programs, anyway, that we were working on a fundraiser at one time.
I think that's enough.
For yeah, sure. And there's a lot of people there.
There is a lot of people there.
How many people actually sit on this committee that,
I,
take part?
I'm going to ballpark, because I haven't done a recent count, about 54.
54.
And
okay.
we usually have 25 to 30 show up for each meeting.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's something. And each one, they speak about, what they're doing in their
Yeah.
thing. And
So
see
we
how
have
it goes.
updates every meeting. So we meet once a month, like
Right.
the third Thursday of every month. And the 4 main priorities give highlights of what's happened in that month. Okay? We always have somebody in charge of the finances, so everybody knows where everything's at. Everything's above board and kosher.
Right.
And it's just amazing to see what happens in the span of a year and how many people benefit.
I know that on the committee there's council members, city council members I've seen there, and an example of one person on the committee and something they've done. Through resiliency and through you guys meeting and
Yeah.
sort of,
Okay, now this one we did not provide any funding for, but they sit on our committee. And I said that we partnered with the Regional Service Commission. Well, we also partner with the Be Alive Network.
okay.
It's so cool because we all work on the same priorities, maybe in different ways, but we started a communications group, okay?
Okay.
So one of our members, Megan Holleran, who works for public health, has set up doing a YouTube channel highlighting all of the agencies in the Miramichi that offer services that either don't cost or are there for the using. So we've encouraged people to send in 90-second clips highlighting their organization and what it is they do. And it just creates interest. We call it unlocking the source. And it's finding how we access the resources that we need
Okay.
in our community. Because so many times, how many times have you heard it said, oh, I didn't even know we had that?
All the time. Yeah.
All the time. For a little community like Miramichi, we offer some amazing services that many people don't even know about. So our goal is to make people aware so that they can access these services, thereby becoming, oh, what is it? Oh, yes, more resilient. Pretty cool, huh?
So one thing you touched on there, which I noticed during COVID, and one of the stations I was working for, there was a lot of people people couldn't get food because they couldn't
Right.
get out and get things out. But we also noticed that our food is mostly imported here. And how did you guys start? Are you part of the food program saying, okay, where is the food?
Well,
So how are you working towards that so we know?
so we have one lady who does food rescue, okay? But beyond that, part of this grant writer that we're talking about, we called it cultivating a strong community support sector. And part of that involves getting out and talking to young people in schools, in communities, and really going back to grassroots.
Okay.
Starting our own planting, growing our own food, learning how to preserve, all of those essential components that mean we have to go to the grocery store less.
So they have a course on this, or they have a place where you come to watch it, or how does it work for people in the community to sort of get the idea of how this all works?
Okay, so again, we're waiting for the grant writer to be in place.
Right.
But the goal will be to access the funds. We want to start in schools,
Okay.
starting with young people. Because if young people get it,
Yeah.
we tend to catch it, right? So young people influence their parents. The parents influence their best friend. And it spreads.
Yes.
So
for
we
sure.
want to start young people on the process of learning where their food comes from, how it comes from. You know, it's not just a matter of going to the grocery store, because the grocery store takes money.
Right.
Seeds cost very little. Now, human labor takes a lot more. But when our larder is stocked, when we know where our food is, and we don't have to worry about where am I getting my next meal, makes a huge difference.
Of course. Yeah. And how to preserve it and can it and
It makes a
So many
huge
things
difference.
going
And
on.
there's so many different methods that can be utilized. So what we want to do is draw on community experts, maybe some of our older citizens who have grown up canning and producing their own foods, to teach the young people how it's done.
so we would need a place where this would happen. And
Yes,
working with
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So it's about community partnership. So we work a lot with our district elected officials, and they provide maybe the community hall for us, or because it's really all about partnerships and growing networks
Okay.
working together.
Wow.
It's really not about the resiliency movement. It's about everybody grabbing onto resiliency and making it a focus.
We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk about some of the amazing things that you guys have been doing. And it's such an interesting concept to have a committee finding out what's going on in our city and to get people together. So we'll talk more about that right after these messages. Welcome back to McGowan's Canvas Miracles. We're working on I was driving in today, seen some birds, so we sketched out a few birds, and we're going to have a fun painting where all we're doing is just adding some paint into some water, letting it spread around a bit and see what happens. Sort of abstract, kind of fun, make a silhouette, and talk about changing things in our community. And Natalie, our guest today, sits on a committee that has over 54 members, and each one of them is representing something in our city that they're trying to make better, to make our city more resilient and change the way we do things and sort of bring awareness to everybody. So we had talked about some of the food securities, and tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, let's use NBCC as our example. So NBCC, they have a large international student population, and I don't know if you've been to the grocery store lately. Groceries are very expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
So a lot of them were hungry. So Albertine took it upon herself to start delivering some of the food rescue products to NBCC, and they have a freezer there, and they're able to store foods. So people, they look forward to the day that the delivery is made every week. But they can access it all weekend. They're able to go in if they have a pass, they can get in the college and get food. It's just been a blessing, really. She goes to churches, she goes to homeless shelters, she helps with Claudine with Jeremy's mission. If there is a need and she can supply, she supplies.
That's true. I know Pastor Albertine personally. She takes some of my art classes, and I've worked with her with Jeremy's mission and different things in the ministry, and I was at a couple meetings when she was sitting on your resiliency committee there and working with you guys, and I know that there's basically a freezer in all the churches now, or quite a few of them.
And she found some of the freezers for them.
Yeah, the freezers, and put them in, and they supply the food, and they go through all the work of getting it, from leftover from stores and supplying everything.
They help with food banks.
It's incredible the amount of work they do. I know there's soup kitchens that we have set up through that, and that kind of stuff. And so sitting on the committee made people aware of where the need was, right? And that's basically the point of the committee, is to say, here's the need, here's somebody who wants to help fulfill the need in a way.
Right.
How can
we help them get that started?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not about us sustaining these programs, because it's not about a hand out, it's a hand up. Mm-hmm. So how can we encourage people to become more resilient? I get it, we don't want anybody to be hungry. So we will feed you until, but now let's work on the next step.
Yeah. And to make people aware too, through each of your committees and going out. Doesn't matter what event I go to, I see somebody setting up a table and saying, this is what we're doing in the health or the drugs and all the different avenues they work on.
So one of the cool things is, like, sitting on the committee, I mean, we have all these grassroots organizations that work on these projects, but we also have social development, who then can go to their clients and say, did you know that this was available, and this was available, and this was available? So one of the things, Rodrigo Miranda, who is with the Regional Service Commission, he has created a food resource pamphlet. Mm-hmm. It's also available with a QR code, but they're posted everywhere. There are brochures everywhere. This is where you can access foods.
Oh, really?
Including soup kitchens, like it's all there. It's an amazing, and he updates it quarterly.
Okay.
So, because things change a lot, right?
all the time.
Yeah.
So how many people, well, I guess there's no way to know that number. I'm curious, how many people you think actually get access to food because of these programs? Do you have a rough guess or estimate of some kind?
I would ballpark hundreds.
Hundreds, okay.
Hundreds.
In our city, because that's,
Yes.
I know just Jeremy's Mission alone feeds over 50 homeless people.
That's right.
And that's on a daily basis. They're down there every morning and working to get food into people's bellies, because, you know, it's good enough to say, go get a job, go do this, go to work, but if you haven't even got food in your stomach, you got to start somewhere.
Right.
Get the basics in.
So, I mean, we technically, I'll say, aren't part of the Fresh for Less program. Do you know what that is?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. But we do supply some funding, and they're able to reward volunteers who work for the Fresh for Less.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to
Yeah.
recognize, because it's so hard to get volunteers now, because
It
people are
is.
busy trying to make their own ends meet.
And we have so many people who are so dedicated, and I mean, they don't miss. They're out there helping every step of the way. And that is huge. You know?
I think so too. Every group that comes on this show and my radio show and all the different things they do has the same problem, they say, whether it's a soup kitchen, whether it's the food bank, getting volunteers nowadays, it's like, you know.
It's like pulling hen's teeth.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, I don't have time, I'm working all the time.
Well, and the sad reality is, it's kind of true.
It is. But we have more time than we think. We spend a lot of time at home on Netflix on the end of the day, and we relax, we want to enjoy
I go to too many painting classes.
or painting classes, whatever. Something that's that you can never do too many painting classes. It's always bringing you guidance and awareness in your community.
Or I get to tell people about what I do, and then I get on
That's
TV
true.
shows.
So it's everything's networking, right? So
It absolutely is. And honestly, I never go anywhere and talk about anything without the hopes that we get somebody else to join the resiliency movement.
yeah, we're going to talk about that in the last segment too,
Good.
about why they should come join the resiliency committee and, you know, get what they're doing out there. So feeding people. Now, let's talk about the mental health aspect of
Okay.
it. So I know that you have a lot of people on the committee that are working with all kinds of people that are struggling in our community with mental health and the issues they go through. So how does it help in that effect?
Well, as I said, we were able to provide the funding to do the Safe Talk training, which is over 300 people have received Safe Talk training. It's a 4-hour training that helps us to recognize the warning signs of suicide and then put them in contact with somebody who can do an intervention with them. Okay? So that's kind of a big deal, because we have way too many suicides happen here, which is directly related to mental health.
Yeah, we do have a lot of suicide.
Way too many. They also do things like they do a grief workshop. So anybody who has had loss, they do a workshop. There's also a grief and traumatic loss group. So anybody who has lost somebody due to suicide, a car accident, something major traumatic. The list, I mean, it goes on and on and on. Charlene McLean might be somebody that you would like to have on this program, because we call it Life Promotion Miramichi, and I'm co-chair of that one as well. They do amazing work, and I don't say that because I'm on it, but if you look around, like right now, May is Mental Health Challenge Month, and so that all goes hand in hand with what resiliency is doing. So although resiliency itself isn't doing it, but resiliency itself doesn't do any of them.
Okay.
We partner with other people who do them.
So by having this committee and this group together, it basically brings awareness to what each group is doing and where there's overlap
Yes.
and how we can work
Yes.
together. And
So on every meeting that we possibly can, depending on what the business of the meeting is, I like to do a roundtable. What's going on in your committee? What do we need to be made aware of? Like, for example, I just sent out a memo to the committee from AIDS New Brunswick. They have a new health box that
Okay.
just is being revealed in the very near future. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but that's a big deal. AIDS New Brunswick sits at the resiliency table, okay? multicultural sits at the resiliency table.
So I would think that with all the groups you guys have, you should start, and once you get this grant funding going and everything, you maybe should get a website where people could get statistics in our city of what's going and where we're improving and things like that.
We do have a community profile.
Okay.
So once a year, we come out with a profile of what the stats are around homelessness, around this, around that.
Okay.
What we don't have, and it would be really cool to see, is a stats page of what we've accomplished throughout the year.
Yeah, yeah. So we can know where we're improving and where people can get involved.
And
things
where
like
we
that,
still
yeah.
need to put some focus.
For sure.
You know?
100% like that idea. So we've got mental health, we've got food. What other kinds of, like we say, there's 50 people on this board. Think about,
so we've got the Miramichi Youth House, or Miramichi Housing Solutions now it's called, and they sit on the committee.
Okay. And what is their role? What do they do?
What do? They did the In From the Cold shelter. They have I'll say a youth house for kids at risk who have encountered troubles, and it's a place for them to live.
And we have lots of that.
Yes. We have, they do, oh goodness. Again, you should talk to Jory Geeky.
Yeah, well, we're going to have those people.
I'm going to do
too,
you a
so.
list, because there are so many people, so many
Well, that's why I wanted to have you
amazing
on,
things.
because when I went to the committee, so last year I did a bike ride
Yes.
to raise funds
Genesis
for
Village of Hope,
Genesis Village of Hope. And
who sits on our committee.
Exactly, yeah. So I went there and I was amazed at how many people are involved in doing things in our city, and that's, I started having them on the radio show and talking about, you know, this is what's going on. If you need this, this is where you can go. This is what's happening. And we sort of continued it on now into the Rogers is giving me the opportunity to get people out talking about it on TV and to a broader audience, and I love it. But the Village of Hope idea was to bring tiny homes in to
Yes.
help ease some of the housing crisis. So even that in itself, and that's where I met Albertine with the food bank stuff, and then
Right.
all that sort of
And so
connected
there's
me.
so much misconception around some of the things that happen on the river, or want to happen on the river. And, you know, have you heard tell of NIMBY?
No?
Not in my backyard.
Oh yes, there's everywhere we try to put something, whether it's the
Yes.
Harvest House or the...
And a lot of that is not really because they're against the work, it's because they don't really know what the work is about.
or understand it, or trust
Right,
it, or think
right.
not in my neighborhood kind of thing,
Right.
around my
So
children.
this whole tiny housing village, the Genesis Village of Hope, is for kids coming out of foster care who they're aging out and they have no place to go, and it's to teach them the skills so that they don't become the homeless population. So that's a win.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because if you got somebody who was hungry on the street and stealing and doing drugs, and you can get them cleaned up and eating and
Yeah.
get a job, like, it's amazing.
Well, you've heard the saying, desperate people do desperate things. Well, desperate people do desperate things.
It's
So our goal
100%.
is not to have them be desperate.
No, and to give them purpose.
Yes.
Once they are overcoming it, they're the best people to get on the front lines, getting other people moving towards overcoming
Absolutely.
it, because they know
Absolutely.
they've gone through it, and it's believable, you know.
Right.
It's easy for somebody to
So-
say that hasn't done it. But
So working for the Housing Authority through the Regional Service Commission is Lee Bursey,
okay.
who has the lived experience and is now on the other side advocating for those who need housing.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
It is amazing. I mean, the human race is pretty amazing.
They are pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you turn on CNN, Fox, and all this stuff, you
Oh,
hear
it's
all
so
the horrible
I don't
world
listen
and
to
the
it. I
evil.
can't do it.
I stopped doing it too, yeah. It's
I
like
can't.
gave up on the major stuff. Once in a while, I'll tune in just to realize, oh yeah, I don't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, no.
But this local stuff, this is what's really happening in our community. Like, these people are actually
And
out
it's
doing
good
this.
stuff.
Yeah, there's, like you say, every morning there's people getting fed and don't have to go hungry. Every morning we're looking for places to bed people and get them off drugs.
Right.
Every day there's families being reunited and being helped in some way.
And is it desperately sad that we need it? Yes.
Of course.
But that, in essence, is the role of resiliency, to meet people where they're at, to give them the tools to become more resilient. So that's not where they're at.
That's 100%. Well, it's such a great program.
Yeah, and resiliency really is a muscle. And unless you use it, it grows weak and atrophied. So we need to use our tools that we have to build up that resiliency muscle so that we're strong and we can do the things that we need to do.
And it doesn't take much, you know. Everybody can help in some way. Every little thing makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. Huge difference. I mean, when you were coming to the meetings, and I get it, you're busy too, I'm like, ooh, that could be advertising for things that are happening on the river. Like, I mean, because every piece is interconnected. We look at our 4 main priorities. If your mental health is not doing well, you're not going to do well in your housing situation.
No.
If you can't get transportation, that messes with your mental health.
And your work and your ability.
If you don't eat properly, it messes with everything else. So it's all so interconnected, which is
getting
why
people
they
to
all
the
work
basics
together.
before they can lift themselves up.
Yes.
And
So
that's what I'm always trying to say to people. Our job is to get people to the point where they can help themselves.
yeah.
It's just a modern
I just
art
want a
kind
little
of
more color.
masterpiece. It's a canvas
Or a
miracle.
masterpiece.
It's a canvas miracle. The miracle is the people that I get in here and I find out all the things they're doing in our community. And I'm inspired and touched by all of them. So I find it a blessing.
It is. We live in an amazing community.
Miramichi is a special place.
It is a special place.
Actually, all of New Brunswick that I've come across, I live in Miramichi, so I see more of it here. But the more I travel around and I'm spending a lot of time in Fredericton and places, there's a lot of this going on, and we need to bring awareness to all of this stuff. So
There is. So as I said, there are 12 regional resiliency coordinators. The one in Fredericton, her name's Carrie Bedford. Amazing things happening in Fredericton. And in each of our 12 regions, and for Miramichi, this area, Region 5 is massive. We're the largest region geographically. So we go all the way up to Boys Town, over to Tabasantac, and all encompassing. That's a lot of travel.
that is.
That's a lot of travel. But we go out and in partnership with the Regional Service Commission, we have done asset mapping and what do you have, what do you love about your community, what do you need in your community. So we're trying to address those issues piece by piece.
And bring the right people into place. That's an amazing job.
So
Let me see your painting. What you got going on there? Yeah, that's great.
we're running. That's okay, because I got rags.
That's running a little bit, but we're gonna let this dry over the break.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a short break, and we're gonna come back in and we're gonna start painting our birds in.
Sounds good.
Have some fun on this modern,
You're
fun
running
cloud.
too.
Yeah.
Let me help you.
I like the drips.
You like
Add
the drips?
in, yeah. All right, we'll be right back with McGowan's Canvas Miracles after this. Welcome back to McGowan's Canvas Miracles. Now that the makeup artists are all gone and all this.
I missed that part. When did that show up?
We got Natalie Thibeau. She's here telling me about great stuff that's happening in our city through the her committee and all the different people. And we've only touched on 3 or 4 different items, but there's over 50 people sit on there. So, and we've been working on this new modern sort of abstract kind of fun bird painting. So what we're going to do now is we're first going to paint the birds in a brown.
In a
So
brown?
we'll take a little brown, put it on our brush, and we'll paint in this whole. I might have to actually put my glasses on for this.
Is he a watery brown?
No, just we'll get him solid. It can be see-through a bit, but as long as it's all covered.
Am I doing his beak too?
Yep, the whole bird and the telephone line.
Oh, you're getting pushy now.
Yeah, and we'll move it around and get them all covered up.
I always give Rob a hard time at painting classes. I told him I wouldn't do it here, but I'm starting to renege on that.
Why not? We have a lot of fun there. people coming in, and painting is one of those things that it makes you feel good, you know?
I
There's
love
something
it.
about it, just every person in the class says the same thing, where it's not long enough, it's not long enough, we don't have enough time. You get there, it feels like 5 minutes went by, and all of a sudden, you know, that 2 hours is gone.
Yeah.
It's like, how's that even possible? It's because it's a relaxing quality, and it just, there's something about painting that takes your mind into a space that makes you feel good.
I really like it.
Yeah,
And
it's my favorite thing in life.
it's kind of funny at home. I'm teaching myself watercolors. Oh my word.
Oh, really?
It's not fun. I mean, it's fun, but it's more difficult because it's more water than paint.
Yeah, and you gotta be brave enough to just let the water sort of do its thing and work with what it gives you, which is kind of a fun aspect to me of doing it. With acrylics, we got a little more control. We can dry and overpaint and do stuff. With watercolor, not so much, which if we're using acrylics today, but we're using it in a watercolor sort of form, just to give us that whole feel of letting the paint flow on the canvas and just see what happens.
Yeah, so I started with oils, and this is vastly different.
Yes, oils, they stay wet for a long time, and you can move the paint around for a long time, and it's heavy and thick, and you got to thin it down with certain turpentines and stuff. And, you know, but it's got super qualities. I mean, oil's been around a long time, but I find with acrylics, the cleanup is easy, and you can take them wherever you go live and out, and it just makes life a lot easier. And especially when you're teaching and spilling it over people and all their clothes and the things they do. So what's another, on the resiliency committee, think of something that sort of touched your heart and made you feel like, oh, wow, this job's worthwhile. Is there anything that sort of set off in your mind?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to the bus passes.
Okay.
Because there's one story that I went, oh, that's why we do this.
Okay.
Oh, I just beat the mic, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So there was, our first year we went through and we did the bus passes. They called it the TAP program, Transportation Access Pass, I think it was. So this one gentleman, he had a pass and he did it all year. And at the end of the year, he said to the bus driver, I won't be needed next year because I was able to get a job and I bought a car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just because he was able to get on his feet and be able to get to work, and now he could do it.
So, I mean, if nothing else good happened and lots of other good stuff happens,
Yeah,
that was a winner chicken dinner for me.
that's awesome. Yeah, when you see it impacting people in their lives,
Making positive
it's a huge
changes.
difference. Yeah, 'cause some people, even the smallest things can make, just getting to their groceries and getting to the doctor and things that they normally couldn't do.
You're right. And so another thing that we've done is with rural transportation, because rural transportation is a big issue. We are spread far apart. The Regional Service Commission operated a program, and with monies through the Resiliency Network, they were able to get dialysis patients to their treatments.
Wow.
Yeah, that's rewarding.
Okay, so one of the things I always wonder about is support from the city and stuff like that. Do they ever come down and sit on the committee? Do they ever listen to these issues and see how they can help in some way? Or how does the city get involved in our councilors and our mayor and people like that?
You know, our mayor does sit on, I'm also on the Community Development Advisory Committee with the Regional Service Commission by virtue of the Office of Resiliency.
Okay.
And the mayor is the chair of that committee. So he does hear what's happening because the Service Commission and Resiliency work so hand in hand on many of our projects.
Okay.
And we'll say, you know, Resiliency is doing this, community development is doing this. So they do hear.
Is that a city building that you guys do your meeting in each week, or is that you
No,
pay for that? Or
No, we do not, because
Okay.
in partnership with the Service Commission, they provide space for us to meet.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
We haven't had to pay thus far. Now, our meetings were getting very, very large, and we were going to have to look into bigger space. But since we didn't give out the huge funds this time that we gave out before,
Right.
attendance has dropped off a little bit until they start getting funding from the grant writer.
And the grant writer is available to all of them? Everybody who
Yes.
sits on the committee? Okay.
Not just everybody who works on the committee.
Oh, really?
So it will be open to our communities, so like, let's say Beta Vin, or the municipalities. They will
Okay.
all have access to this grant writer. So it's not just us four and no more. It really is for the betterment of Miramichi, greater Miramichi.
That's awesome, actually.
It is.
And is there a way that, do you guys need volunteers? Do you need people to come out to the committee and tell what they need? And sort of, is there programs that, like you probably want more people there, right? Finding out what's going on in
We
the
absolutely
city.
do want more people there. I think it is imperative that we know everything that's happening in the city and how we can best come alongside them and be of assistance. So one of our members has created a Microsoft form,
Okay.
and it is some basic information. What do you need from a grant writer? What have you applied for in the past? Were you successful? Were you not? And what is your focus?
Okay.
That way, once the grant writer begins, they're not starting from ground zero. They have some information that they can get to work almost immediately in starting to look for grants.
Wow. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah, so we've tried to be very proactive because it is a lot of money, and I'm not into throwing my money away. I'm
Good
into
idea.
using it for the intended purposes to create more. Because let's face it, 50,000 goes nowhere.
No. Well, it does go somewhere because look what you guys are doing with such a small amount of money. Like,
Right.
look at the
So,
impact that's happening.
But it's not the money that's doing it.
No.
It's the people invested in them that's doing it.
And the awareness and, yeah.
So I am just blown away by the work that is being done in each of our communities, but particularly Miramichi, because that's where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I'm very proud of Miramichi. Miramichi, every time, we're doing the show for, I don't know how many episodes now, 20, 30 episodes, whatever it is, but I'm always shocked. I find more and more, and over the years doing the radio show, the amount of things that people are doing with nothing, you know, and a lot of them pouring their own resources into things
Yes.
and digging out of their own pocket. That's the kind of community we have here. So
Listen, when I first came here, and again, I've been here 20 years, I was absolutely astounded. I have never seen so many, they call them hoot nannies, and fundraisers. And because if Joe has an ingrown toenail, okay, this is an exaggeration, but Joe needs transportation to Halifax back and forth, they are on it. They are raising money for Joe. They do a lot more than an ingrown toenail.
Of
I'm
course.
making fun. But this community comes together like nobody I've ever seen before.
Oh, it's
so
incredible.
I know that when we pull together, we are going to achieve this resiliency thing. And people are going to look around and go, look at Miramichi. Look how resilient they are.
well, anything that, once you can start to organize and recognize the problem, gets a lot easier to solve, right?
Absolutely.
And that's from what I can gather from this committee is what it does. It brings an understanding and awareness of who's working on the problem, what the problems are, and who we can connect to the problem.
Well, and sometimes even when we start to work on a potential project, we recognize the stumbling blocks and the pitfalls and the pratfalls and go, okay, we need to do something about this.
And other people on the committee might have gone through something and said, oh, wait, you know, I can help you in this way, or
That's right.
try this, and yeah.
So, and I always find it amazing, and again, you sat there for a few meetings. When somebody is talking, everybody sits raptly and listens to hear what's happening.
That's true, yeah.
And there's this undeniable support for everything that's happening. And it's not about who can get the most money, it's more how can we come together and make the most of the money we have.
And an impact and a
Yes.
difference. Yeah, that's incredible. I don't know. There's something about people like yourself and this group, that blows my mind. I think if people would turn the news off and actually just get out and volunteer in a soup kitchen or help on a line or go to the food bank for an hour a week or whatever it might be to help build this resilience, we'll call it resilience, we imagine the impact if we all get involved. You know, it doesn't take long with many hands, as the saying goes. So hopefully your group and the work they do can get people involved and make that impact. I see it already in so many different ways. So
well, it already has, and the reality is we'd like more. I'm a little greedy. I want everybody involved. I want all of Miramichi to become everything it needs to be.
So what do you think is probably our hardest thing that we're working on right now?
That's a tough call. They're all big, but homelessness is a huge issue.
Yeah, we do have a lot of that. And
way too much.
Yeah. And I see people working on it in some ways between the Harvest House and the
They're
tiny
all working
homes
on it.
And the struggles we face of resilience and people against it. That kind of shocks me sometimes.
Well,
but
again, they're against it, not
knowing really what
right,
they're against. Yeah.
Right.
Worried about the fears and.
Well, and they're concerned, and you know, maybe justifiably so. But when we get information, and if we actually, I'll say, take the time and hear what's being said instead of assuming what I think I'm going to hear, it makes a huge, huge, huge difference. So it just kind of, I don't know. It saddens me and it excites me because, you know what, eventually ears get opened. And once that happens, we're off to the races.
Well, the best part is if you go about things, it's better to fail and get an understanding of where you got to go than it is to do nothing.
Having failed trying, then failed by doing nothing.
Oh yeah, you're guaranteed to fail if you do nothing. If you try and you fail, what do you learn? You get some experience. You say, okay, that didn't quite work.
Right, so next time we'll do this.
Yeah, and which helps the next group and the next group and
Absolutely.
so on. And oh yeah, I'm a big advocate of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I read your prose.
Do you?
I do. I'm not a commenter. I never comment.
I'm out every day writing something about changing things or making things better.
Yeah, and I hear Claudine comment on your, you do good. You do good works.
Yeah, but it's not, to me, it's not about that.
No.
It's about
helping your fellow man.
Yeah, becoming, there's an old saying in Latin, and is, what good is a man that doesn't try to make the world a better place? But because if we just sit doing nothing, nothing gets done. Right?
That's right.
And we can complain, we can get up every day and say, oh, my job sucks, oh, the world sucks, there's so many, why don't they just get out of the street, why, all these things, and what does that accomplish? Nothing. And it just makes you miserable.
If it was that easy, don't you think they'd do it?
My day, I suffer like everybody else. The world crashes against us. This is what people don't get. In ancient thinking, in the Tahu style, and even in the Bible, it talks about building strength in your mind. Because no matter how good you are, there's things going to happen to you all the time. Like a few weeks ago, I crashed my car, just totaled my car out of nowhere, and I got into a big issue. Somebody had stole some money on my credit card, and I had switched my credit card on my insurance, and somehow there was a lapse in the. I ran into so I'm fighting about why it didn't get switched over anyway, that kind of thing. So we all run into these issues. But I can get every day and say, oh, that's so terrible, what am I going to do? Or, no, I get up every day and what's the next thing? We're going to work on the next thing and the next thing. So.
And the reality is there's always a next thing.
Yeah. Every issue you've ever had goes away. Think back, over your life you've had some major problem like, oh, this is so sad, life's terrible, and it's gone.
Let me quote scripture for you, shall I?
All right.
And it came to pass.
That's right.
It came to pass. Because nothing is here forever.
No, including us. So,
Well, I'm
And-
going to take a good run at it.
yeah, and so enjoy it. And
Oh, I
simple
like that
thing.
blue in there.
I was in a restaurant the other day at the goodie shop, and there was a lady there from, I think, Ukraine, actually, she told me. And she'd come out and she was putting the dishes away, and she's all sweaty, had this cap on. She just looked like life sucks. I was feeling her at that moment, thinking,
Yeah.
why do I have to do this job and whatever? And I told her, I said, what do you do in the morning before you come to work? And she looked at me like, you're crazy. And she started to smile a little bit. And I said, do you dance? And she said, do you dance? I have 5 children. She said, I don't dance. It's really funny. And then I said, do you know if you dance, the rest of the day goes better? It's like this thing, it'll send this like
Endorphins.
stuff through your body. She says, no. I said, watch, I'm telling you. So I stood at the counter in the restaurant, made a fool of myself. I started to dance at the counter, acting a little silly and fun. And the people around, they were laughing, and I said, look, do you see how it spreads? I said, next time you come in, tell me if you danced in the morning a little bit, put on the music as you're getting ready for your day, and start thinking about, what's good in your life, your children, what you're going to do, and start focusing on that. So every time I come in there now, she has a little bag of cookies that she's brought for me. She says, oh, Rob, I was doing this, and we became friends, and we talk, and it's a beautiful thing. Or I was in the coffee shop one day, and a lady was outside. She was having a cigarette, and she's saying, "Oh, this job sucks. You got to put up with people every morning and that kind of thing." And I said, "Do you know how important your job is? You're the first person in the day, whether you're talking to doctors, you're talking to people running business. They're going to go and talk to all their employees or do stuff. If they come to you and you have a joke ready, or you set them in a mood that's good, that's going to spread like a butterfly effect through the community. You have the most important job of the day because you're going to set the page for everybody. So while you're doing that job, obviously you're not going to do it forever if you don't want, but if you want to enjoy it and be an impact to your community, think what you could do. So every time I go in there now, she's like got a joke ready or something on the internet, and it's become a part of her daily routine. So we can impact people on a daily basis at every chance we get. Or we can sit and wallow about our issues and our problems, and life sucks, and you know what I mean?
So you know what you're doing, don't you?
Do I know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're building resiliency in people.
Is there anything you want to say to anybody about joining the committee?
Like if you have some burning desire that you want to see something done about, come see what we're all about. Come find out about our grant writer.
Well, thank you for watching McGowan's Canvas Miracles. And again, we'll see you next week and find out how we can help our community to grow and be a better place to live.